Hello everyone, hope you all are having a wonderful week on this week 7 of our term. I just wanted to share really quickly with you my topic for the final project for this term. Mine is on the topic of Daniel Boone and his journey through the Cumberland Gap. The point of my paper or my project was to discuss the motivations behind his journey and the many pioneers and settlers, explorers that followed in his footsteps. What was it that drove them to the area of Kentucky and the Ohio River Valley? Starting off in my project, and I wanted to clarify here, was the state of the colonies following the French and Indian War that eventually led to the expansion westward of the British colonies. Following the war, Great Britain and the colonies found victory against the French and their Indian allies. It is because of this victory that the colonists actually gained a sense of independence and a newfound confidence that encouraged them to see that they could go on and expand their territory and their reach as far as the colonies would go. That added to the growing population of the colonies, just kind of encouraged people to spread out and to expand beyond where they had been before. Now at this time, very few people had actually expanded past the Appalachian Mountains. One of the main ways into the Kentucky region was through the Cumberland Gap, which is the very steps that Daniel Boone took in his initial journey. Now Boone was not the one to name the Cumberland Gap, but he was among the first to go through there. And when he went through there, he first came into Kentucky, and we saw that the things that he wrote and the experiences that he recorded encouraged many people to follow in his footsteps. In Boone's own words, when talking about the region added to it, the Ohio River Valley and the Ohio Territory, he writes that nature was here a series of wonders and a fund of delight. Here she displayed her ingenuity and industry in the variety of flowers and fruits. And then he goes on to talk about the bountiful game, as Daniel Boone, of course, we know was a hunter, and many of his group were. So they saw value in that. He also writes, talking of the lush farmland that was there available, because, again, many colonists were farmers, were poor farmers. So that was obviously held some sort of appeal. But I don't believe that was the main motivation behind their movements. Author Timothy Flint, writing of Boone and his journeys in his lifetime, talks about the various dangers and threats that Boone dealt with. Among the most pressing of dangers and threats upon Boone's life was whenever him and his group were actually captured by the Shawnee Indians, which stretched, of course, from Tennessee through Kentucky all the way up into Ohio, which is actually where I'm originally from. Timothy Flint writes that as they, Boone and his party, were leisurely descending the hill, little dreaming of danger, the Indian yell burst upon their ears. A numerous party of Indians sprang from the canebrake, surrounded, vanquished, and bound them, before they had time to recourse to their arms. From there, Boone and his group were captured and held captive by the Shawnee tribe for quite some time, until eventually he was able to escape and even warn Boonesboro of an impending attack. So knowing that, we know that there were various threats, many threats to people and settlers who traveled through this unknown territory. You had wild animals, you had the elements, tough winters, added to it the threat of Indian attacks, which, again, doesn't say that everything was entirely worth the journey, but for them it was. It also does not say that Daniel Boone did not have healthy relationships with the Indians. In fact, he did have many positive relationships with the group. Ellen Eslinger talks of how the appeal of the Kentucky region influenced future settlers, writing that how a man could start with nearly nothing, yet rapidly progress to comfort and security was apparent there. And I think that kind of sums up the overall motivation behind him. Despite these various threats, yes, there were promises for hunters and mountain men, trappers and traders, plenty of opportunity, but there was opportunity for the average colonist, opportunity for comfort and security, as she writes, a way of building your own life outside of the colonies and frankly outside of the British control, which is very similar thoughts and ideals that transferred into, of course, we know the American Revolution. So seeing that those early thoughts towards revolution are actually even apparent in westward expansion through the Cumberland Gap, just as Daniel Boone did. Thank you.